Hello YouTube. I'm going to use this for opening of my next Sunday in the Shop video. Episode. How'd they do that? Episode whatever. Uh, Lost tool frustration. Okay? We're on a hunt for a Sharpie marker. It's the size of an ink pen because it's a fine point Sharpie, okay? So it is the same diameter as an ink pen. It is black. It has a cap on the end. Okay, I know where it is. But we're gonna show you that what we go through here when we get frustrated trying to find something. We just stop and take a break. We're working on this, our little handle, which we'll show. That's gonna open and close our door. Okay, now let's go through this. Last time we used it was right in this area. See, there's my grating for my stove. Watch me. Where's that grating at? Okay, are you ready? Well, let's keep going. You can do this. Sound like a kindergarten teacher, huh? You're doing really good. You're doing really fine. They tend to do that with the children because they get so frustrated real quick. Teachers are afraid they're going to go off. It's not behind here. Trust me. I'm not going to move that. It's not along here either. I already went through that. Okay, we'll keep going here. I like having a candle out. It's pleasant. It puts you in a pleasant mood. My lemonade cup. Okay, now I try to keep my tools put up. Back there I've got things like different screwdrivers. I got that pencil holder, if you can see it way back in here. It's got some specialty tools. My pencil cup. There's hammers and files. It's a good place for them. Okay. Okay, now let's go back in this area. I like to keep my drill bits like this when I'm using them. But then you'll knock them over. You'll go like that and they'll fall. Okay, so we finally went back into here. Here's some of the most common tools I use, so I'll throw them up in here. And guess where it is? Right here where I usually throw my tools. Like a pencil, punch, that's part of a square, you know, my big square. There's an old screwdriver bit which was too big, my favorite crescent wrench. Oh, I put an O-ring on this. It's a rubber band. Man, you could hardly pull it apart with one hand. It actually hurts me at my age on some things on your hands and knuckles. There it is. Great for making little fine lines. That's for putting your, instead of the dike or whatever, when you're going to scribe marks. And guess who gave me that? If I'm right, this was sent to me. So, I know who it was. I'm positive. Same guy that sent me this. This thing's become famous. I put that on there for better grip. And don't ask what caliber it is. But this is your hard rod. When you TIG weld, that goes in the TIG torch head, tungsten or whatever. So when you sharpen this, it's really sharpy. That or use a drill bit. If you're going to make your homemade scribe, use a drill bit of high-speed steel. There you go. Break time. I just wanted to show you some of the junk, again, of how it gets. Oh, you know, this will keep me warmer in here than my big heater. That goes on and off. It'll be like 80 degrees up above, right? But it'll still be chilly down here because this morning it's only 48 degrees outside. That will keep me warm on low. Okay, setting here, and I can run it all the time and the cord don't get hot on low. So this has really been nice. I've got it on a 14 gauge outlet strip going over to the power. About a 10-foot cord over. Yeah. You know, don't go buy it because I recommend it, but beware. When this thing gets hot, that knob gets just like kind of, well, it's like it's hard to turn. Like when the heat gets to it, it makes it hard to use. I'm mostly running on low. For those who never watched the video, I'm mostly running on low. It'll save the life of it, but oh yeah, this blowing, and it's on my hot plate, which that's cast iron. I mean, you couldn't get a better place to put it, could you? Up on something steel. I said, there's like 5 minutes just rambling on. I said, that was all my drafting stuff. You know, So I'm glad I'm keeping that organized. Okay, break time. I deserve it. Cutting off little parts. I like that when I can stop like that, because you know it's hot. It doesn't fall on the floor. I'll show you my scraps. That has a hole in it. That's going to hold the rod. You'll see when it goes on the bottom of the stove. But yeah, just the different ways I do this. In this case, you got to be careful. You can't come too much and it starts getting hot overworked. You want gradual curves on these things, but I could not do it without this tool. I could not hold a Dremel tool and do all this little stuff like this. There's no way I'd even want to. So, I get my money's worth out of that. I have a video on that. I got at Menards. Don't get paid to show any products. They said they wanted $40 just for this thing right here. And this was like $60 for the whole kit. Oh, my battery symbol's flashing. Okay, here's the scenario. I like using big words. No, I don't. Sometimes you gotta use a big word. I know that popped up a moment. Here's our rod that's gonna run that, right? See how that's got a hole drilled in that eye bolt? There's a secret to that. Take your Dremel bit that's got the round ball on it and just keep dremeling till you got like a little crater, you know, in the end of that rod, into that piece. Then take your smaller one and go down inside of there, okay, and make you a little dimple, and you'll have it where you put like a 1/16 inch drill bit, say, in there. And drill slow with a small battery powered drill, then work your way up. Do not ask what size this rod is. I keep forgetting to tell you guys what it is. It's not 1/8 of an inch. It's like a 32nd over or something, or whatever. That doesn't matter if that leans at an angle. We have to spot weld that. We are going to make this so, this is approximately like, well, flat ways won't work. We got to have it so we reach over with our finger like that, we can run the door. So to be like this, and I decided I don't care if I see it. It'll be something like this. It only travels about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. So it's never going to hit that. I've already done the math. You can see where I've got it bowed down. Can you see where I got it bowed? I know it's at an angle, but you can see where I got it pulled down. That's the best thing I can do. And I have duct taped a couple other things too before I welded it. It doesn't matter if it's at an angle, because the rod's at an angle. So we're going to go out and spot weld this, and we will be right back. Okay, this got kind of messy. I had to weld her up too far. I had it on 4 for the wire speed and D. I turned it down to C and the wire speed of 3 and patched it up because I actually ate the metal out. You ever have a pointer? Actually ate the metal out a little bit here. And it's a little crooked. It's leaning my way, this way, but we'll clean it up. I'm just glad I didn't ruin the rod. Look where the wire jumped up. I got kind of nervous, and I kind of pulled the trigger, you know what I mean, and the wire went, that excess wire. Oh, I could have repaired it. It just would have been making another rod, but it's kind of stiff going through here. I'm going to have to bend the rod and adjust it. So I want enough clearance for this. This will be brazed on, in case you want to know. So that will be brazed. Okay, off and cleaning up this mess, and then we'll braze this piece on. Then we'll have a working throttle control for the air intake, so we can rev her up. You just can't help it, can you? We'll get that cleaned up. It's a mess, but it'll look better. It's just all that work grinding that excess weld away. Well, we're done with this part. We're going to try to find all the Sunday in the shops when we make a playlist on this stove and include it in there. And when we do get done with the stove, we'll have a description to get linked to the playlist. I have started one. I have uploaded a few videos. Like I said, 7 episodes. I just got tired of it. Number 8 is going to be the stove is done. But now I have to store it on its side, opposite of where the hinges are, or on its top. like this because of the stovepipe piece down there. But I don't know if I'm going to have to braise this or not. So that was kind of tricky. Just take your Dremel that's a ball and just keep dimpling it in, and then go take a bigger one first, and then go a smaller one and go a little bit deeper, and you'll get like a 1/16 inch drill bit down in there. Because I can't tell you the diameter of that, but it moves pretty good. I don't think I have to braise that. I really have to tap that on there. It gets a little tighter when you go up here, of course. That's not the greatest. It's angled. It's just spot welded, and the other side's not well as good as this side, but it's never gonna fail. And let me flip this around and show you what it looks like when you're looking at the front. Because it didn't matter to me that you can see it, because you'll know what it is. Okay, let me straighten the stove up here. So you'll see it there, but to me it don't really matter. When you push it in, you won't see it. I can't do that, but trust me, you won't see it when it's pushed in. It moves in about an inch. So, well, let's go on to something else before the video's done today. We'll go ahead and record this. See, it almost disappears when you have it fully open. So, I said it doesn't matter. It's part of the stove. I guess I should show that. It's nothing special. I could have 45-degree cut them pieces. It was way too much work. You can see a gap here because it kind of welded itself there, but it is a nice little tray. And it's not perfect. It's off a little bit being straight like this when it's welded to the front. But that was duct tape too. And a few magnets here and there to get that thing spot welded. Three little spot welds. Here's another little thing I wanted to show. 1.25 inch. A socket and a socket candle. All I do was just ball up some aluminum foil, okay? And shove it in there. And bash it down, like, say with a punch, even like this. Just keep mashing in there and have it on a steel plate or on something, and it'll end up like that. Just keep mashing it in there. And then, however you put your wick in, I've showed how I did mine. It's hanging across the rod with a nut on the bottom of it, so it weights it down. It does burn pretty good. I'll light it up before I leave today. Here's some of the scraps left over. This stuff's very thin. This is what's inside of there. Where you'll see where it's cut out like this. The air intake. And here's that square stuff where I cut it into an angle. And that's where your air runners are. Because the square tube didn't want to fit with all them spot welds. So this fit in there to bring the air. It's not airtight. There might be a little gap. Like, let's say this is the bottom of the stove. This is the side. So this stuff comes in handy. I'm missing the piece I cut out for the hole for the door. I don't think I use it. Some of this I can't tell you how thick it is. And here's what I made the door out of, and the back of the stove. It's supposed to be like, what did I say? 3/32. It's a little more than a 1/16 of an inch. So I still got some of it left. This was in that video where I got all the junk out of the bucket, scraps, before I started this project, before fall was the end of summer. I showed all the scraps for projects. So there's some nice usable metal right there. You might even use that piece with the hole without having to drill a hole. You might have, well, I need a piece with a hole. We'll just design it around the hole. Yeah, this stuff won't get thrown away. I'm going to start a little can to put little stuff in. Things like this. You know, and pieces like I made my door hinges off. I mean, that comes in awful handy when you work with small stuff. I mean, that's a lot of material when you use it on a small project. What's that, about 3/8 wide and about 2 inches long? Just guessing. Here's what the stove pipe piece is made out of. And I already had that cut. That was in the scraps. It was already that width. I used my tool to form it. Okay, enough talk about that. Of course, that's the handle where it was tapered. You know where I got these cheap punches at. Did that make a nice tapered handle? You didn't have to have a lathe or nothing to make that handle. Might as well show you real quick, people who haven't seen it. I hope you've been watching my videos. That's the tapered part of the punch. There you go. Yeah, it's kind of odd how that turned out. It was supposed to be round, but I'd like to have something better than this to hold that bolt. Maybe someday drill the bolt out so there's like a screw goes into it, but for now that'll work. A little door catch. I showed that in the video. It just comes down and catches. You just gotta play making that stuff. You see how I got it double nutted? The handle's double nutted and there's a nut on here. Because you're not gonna get any Loctite to work. That's gonna be hot. We're going to make the legs. So we'll be back after we have the legs made. And hopefully today they'll get welded to the stove. And I'm done. That's all that's left of the stove to do is put legs on it. And then we can fire it up one of these days. Okay, if it'll focus, this camera does weird stuff. Time for a quick tip. I need 4 2-inch pieces to make my legs. See how bent that stuff is? And it's powder coated, believe me. I had to scrape with the razor blade. So this is just part of the thing I cut it off. It's a frame that went on a lawnmower bagger. But here's your quick tip. And see the taper I pulled in over and peeled off? Go around it a couple times. And that's heavy duty paper, almost like I think it's a cereal box. It's artist drawing paper real thick. See how curved that is? Remember there's curved inside, there's one on the top too. See that? Now if you move this up, you're going to tell when you went too far. It just ain't going to look right. See that? I think you know what I mean. So you can adjust that. And then you can go around it with your cutter blade. And I'm using those big Dremel cutter blades. Because this is 5/16. And I have to do it, how many times? I got to cut one end off. So I got to make 1, 2, 3 cuts. This is done with a 4.5-inch grinder outside. I just wanted the pieces out of the thing so I could handle it. It took a lot of scrape with a razor blade and 100 grit sandpaper. You can tell with a grater to get that. That's epoxy coat. That stuff, it's nasty. It is not paint. You can see where it's not black, but it's kind of gray. That is how thick that stuff is. You will not want to take. If you took flapper disc or something, this wouldn't even be around. Scrape it and sand it by hand, because I want these legs to look good. So, there you go. There's your tip. Okay, we're going to try something we've never did before. We've got our 4 pieces disc sanded over here, so they're all flat, squared off. We've got them arranged here, so the short one's in the back, there's a longer one, short one, and a longer one in the front. So we got them kind of staggered when we go up against the disc. We're going to try and do these all the same length. Approximately 2 1/8 inch. So I allowed extra when I cut them because it's not critical. They're just 2-inch legs for the stove. So we'll let you know what happens, whether it works or not. Either tape's gonna grab, won't want to slide, or so we'll be back. Well, it sort of worked. they got hot real quick, and then the tape got, and the only way I could do it is by just shoving them against there. So I had to have it up here like this. I couldn't go back and forth, there's no way. So I wouldn't recommend anybody doing it. I had to have left hand here, right hand across here with my finger laying there, and it's got not, and all I could do is just push like this lightly, which doesn't take long. They're gonna warm up. So I'm gonna do it one at a time and try to get as close as I can. But now I wouldn't recommend even trying this because it just kept wanting to grab. It wanted to go. It wanted to flex like this, and no, wobble back and forth. So that was a fail actually. But as far as if you was polishing them with a softer grit, you just were polishing them up, it might work. Where you wouldn't even need this, you could just go like this and kind of bring this back there. So you kind of go like that and keep them together. But not trying to grind a bunch off. They just got too hot too quick. They're still warm. So we're gonna polish it. I mean, it said they don't have to be perfect. They're just legs for a stove. Okay, back to what we're doing. And that's good enough. They're flat enough they can stand up like that. No one's gonna notice. I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. This is not a machine shop. Okay, they're gonna be on there like about a 20-degree angle. We're gonna have to really think of this. We don't want to be tack welding and try to bend them back and forth to adjust them equally, because then you might break the tack weld. And I have a way of setting it down on a piece of paper and marking it to make sure the legs are all evenly spaced out. And if I do that, I will show how I did that, a piece of drawing paper. So we're going to think about this, how we're going to tack weld them. They have to be welded on an angle. Let me reach around here. So they're going to be welded like a 20-degree angle. So we're going to have it like this somehow and then put a little spot weld. Well, if you spot weld this way, you can't bend it in, and you can't do nothing with it. If you spot weld on the right side, you can bend it back and forth because you have a gap. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have to spot weld it out there, not whatever. You know what I mean? We're making this complicated. We'll be back. This part of the brain stuff, you can tell my brain's starting to stall. It's starting to miss. It needs a tune-up. Okay, we're going to show you how we squared this up. We used a ruler and everything like that. It's like 4 inches in between here, and about 3 in the back and 3 1/8 here, because, well, a little over 3. This one's out, both these. Okay, and then also this one is kicked in a little bit. The angle does not matter. Somebody's going to ask me. I don't even know. It's like 20 degrees or something. Okay, now watch I put the ruler up against the side of the stove. See how it's right there? That's how I designed it. Watch when I come over here. See that? See what that's out? And same back here. See? That's way out. If you come over here and measure this one, look. And they were hard to do. I had to hold these with a glove on. And I'll flip it over real quick and show you. Explain how I did it. What I did was, I drilled a 3/8 inch hole. Okay? So when I stuck the pins in the hole, I had just the edge of the pin popping out of the hole. And this was down in there. Because that way made a hole for this to angle. And I had to hold them when I spot welded. Well, I broke one of them, so I tried to tap with a hammer, and that is not going to work. I'm just cleaning my welds. I'm going to heat it with my little MAP gas torch, and hopefully it'll get hot enough, because this is really hard stuff. It really is. It's nasty. And another way you can measure is go across here and measure down to the stove. See if they're like this. We're going to grind these. Explain it. See that? I call it flat, but you're actually grinding angle. So I'm going to grind it so it sits on a table flat. I think you know what I mean. See? That'll be all done once it's measured up. And that way, see, if this had 3 legs, it would set easy. There'd be 2 here and 1 here, and it just would set, wouldn't wobble. It doesn't really wobble that much, but that way it sets flat. These do. Remember, this is the bottom. The welds don't matter what it looks like. But I did a lot of grinding with a lot of stones. And you're going to end up making this smaller right here. You can almost see it on camera. But when you flip it around, the stove, if I can get a hold of it. You know, if I'm going to ever do this again, I'm putting the legs on first. Before I ever build this part, right? Or almost anything, because I've had it setting up on top of my little ashtray, working on it for weeks. Okay? So I'm going to put the legs on the first thing I'm going to do. This is probably about almost the last clip of this video. I've got 7 videos on this. I'm starting to upload them. So it sets up about 2 inches. This is pretty easy to run. You can just open it like that, because this might not be too hot, and then even if you got to have a stick, you can pull it out. Sure, it's going to wobble because my screw's coming loose in the back. That's the only reason it wobbles. It's a little fidgety to get a hold of, but like I said, everything's still loose. I have to put Loctite on it. This thing's loose back here. I did put some on the nut though. I'll put some on this nut. Okay, break time. Then we'll come back with a closing clip there. Oh, not that I'm sick of it. It's hard to do. Like this. Over here it made it up perfect. Over here there's a little bit of a gap. Because remember I didn't want to do no 45 thing. But it doesn't matter. It's a stove. It looks good from a distance. If I had to do it over again, I still might find it. And I would leave this out to the very last. Because you put this upside down, I've had it on this, so it'll set flat. So I put this on last and put the legs on first. So I can prop it up while I'm working on it. Yeah, we're frustrated. It's my channel, I'll crumble if I want. No. It does get frustrating. It gets frustrating just... If you hear a nice song on the radio, just stop, shut off your tools, do whatever, and just sit in the chair. Have another drink of coffee. Okay, this is going to be a long one this week. Oh well, it's Sunday in the shop. We'll leave you with a smoke test here. That's some of that big giant incense I had. Let's get the door shut and I'll show you how the air intake works. Okay, we got the air intake shut down. Well, we got to push it to open it. Let's push it to open it. You ready? And then we'll also open this one. Okay, so let's just shut this one again. It will burn pretty good with this open. Let's shut this one again. That's hard to get a hold of. There. Okay, one more time. Ready? We'll open it up. There you go. Safe to use indoors with incense. Pretty big giant incense burner. Okay, thanks for watching. We're out of here. We'll have a film coming out with this burning. It'll be a day or so, a couple days probably.